So the Sonic the Hedgehog movie is finally out. I saw the film opening day, but haven't had the chance to sit down and write about it until now, giving me plenty of time to stew in my thoughts about it. And it's somehow not the worst movie I've ever seen. Granted, the Sonic movie isn't very good, but considering what could have come from it and what I think a lot of people were expecting, this film is kind of a miracle. It is a standard, formulaic and pretty generic kids movie, but from the trailer and general premise, the film seemed like it was going to be a colossal mess, and in some ways it kind of is. There's loads that I don't think makes a lot of sense, jokes that are terrible, and performances and characters that are kind of questionable, but it's fine, I guess. Story-wise, it's pretty basic, but considering it's a Sonic movie, I didn't expect some huge epic story with tons of lore and exposition. However, I definitely think there are points where the story does feel stretched incredibly thin. The majority of the beats in the story are kind of exactly what you'd expect from this sort of movie, and it's incredibly formulaic. The film starts with one of those freeze frame sections where Sonic goes, "You may be wondering how I ended up here." It's hilariously bad and cheesy. You literally just needed like Bab O'Reilly to start playing or something just to top it off, and it would have been the worst thing I've ever seen. Then the rest of the film is pretty by the numbers. In the film, Sonic makes friends with a sheriff played by James Marsden, but their friendship is barely developed in the film. James Marsden seems to hate him and not want anything to do with him. Then he takes him to a bar and they have a fun time there, and after that they're best friends somehow. And even then there's still lots of points where it doesn't seem like he likes Sonic, but then he always says, "Oh, you're my best friend and I'm gonna miss you," and stuff like that. It doesn't really make much sense at all. It doesn't really help that James Marsden's character is really uninteresting. He doesn't really have any character development in the movie at all. Honestly did like the way they handled the character of Sonic. He is still kind of obnoxious, but he's nowhere near as ridiculously cringy as he is in recent games or the cartoons.
So, what's your favorite color? Do you like long romantic walks on the beach? What's the source of your power? You can skip the first two questions if you like.
They managed to make him an actual three-dimensional character with emotions, and it surprisingly works pretty well. Ben Schwartz did a pretty good job playing him as well. The character is supposed to be kind of like a teenager, and I think he nails that in the movie. Jim Carrey was incredibly over the top as Dr. Robotnik, of course, in a way that was kind of reminiscent of his performance as the Riddler in Batman Forever, and it's probably one of the more entertaining performances he's done in the last few years. It's definitely the very cartoony and over-the-top style of comedic acting that he made a name for himself doing before he kind of just spent the last decade not really doing anything. But I'd be lying if I found him incredibly fun to watch the whole film. There were a couple jokes of his that I found really hilarious, and I did like how ridiculous he was to watch, but for the most part, I thought he was kind of obnoxious, and that's kind of an issue I have with pretty much all the comedy in this movie. It doesn't really work most of the time. Most of the comedy is loud noises and slapstick, the cheapest kind of child-friendly comedy you'd expect. There are a couple of jokes in the movie that I found genuinely funny, normally ones that were kind of more for the adults in the audience than the kids, but the majority of the film was incredibly cringy to watch. Sonic even flosses twice in the movie, so if you find Fortnite memes low XD funny, then I highly recommend the movie for that. The action sequences are kind of decent, but definitely leave many questions being asked about Sonic's powers. I found myself constantly confused about how Sonic could stop time from how fast he was. There was a scene where a character was able to go as fast as him, and I had no clue how he was able to do it. Like, surely his brain wouldn't be able to comprehend what was happening at that speed. The new design of Sonic is definitely good, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I really want to see the original version of the movie. That original trailer made this movie look like this really weird fever dream of a movie, and the final version definitely isn't that, and I think it would have made it a lot more entertaining to watch if it was as bad as it looked originally. The only other big issues I really have with the movie is in its music. There's one scene at the end where a piano version of the Green Hill Zone theme plays, and it left me really wishing that more music from the games was used. I would have loved to see orchestral versions of Sonic's songs to fill up the whole score. It definitely would have made the film much more enjoyable to watch, but instead the score score is just very, very basic, generic, and it really could have been used in any number of movies and done by any number of composers. Using those original songs, even if it was literally just an orchestral version and rendition of it, definitely would have made the movie stand out, and I think it would have given it its own unique identity that could have fit in the Sonic universe a lot better than the film that we've been given. Overall, the Sonic movie is a fine kids movie. As a Sonic fan, there's no denying that I did enjoy seeing the nods to the series, and I liked how faithful it was to the character, but it really is one of the most run-of-the-mill generic kids movies I've seen in the last couple years, but it's probably the best video game based movie I've ever seen, so I guess it gets kind of points for that. Hopefully video game movies will start improving now, because the Pikachu one was basically just as mediocre as this one, so who knows, maybe the Mario movie by Illumination's gonna be good, but yeah, not got high hopes of that one. So I'm going to give Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Fortnite dances out of 5.
What the